This is Ed Cashman, Standard Plans Engineer with the Roadway Design Office. As Durwood mentioned earlier, I'm going to mention what I consider the more significant changes to the standard plans. This is not all inclusive. So I'm going to be talking about the temporary traffic control, signal signing and pavement marking indexes, and lighting indexes. So to kick it off here, we're going to be talking about the temporary traffic control. For 102.600, which is the general information for traffic control through work zones, one of the changes in this index is that we did increase the maximum lane closure length to 3 miles for high-speed facilities. This was previously 2 miles with an exception for rumble striping. On sheet 9, the drop-off condition note, number 5 there, has changed. It's a little more limited now as far as its usage. So it was somewhat unrestricted before, and now it's an isolated drop-off condition less than 100 feet in length that is created and restored within the same work period. This note more applies or is applicable to really contractors and construction personnel. Moving on here to traffic pacing, index 102-655. Some of these notes have been removed here. This is partially to allow the usage of traffic pacing if necessary in cases other than limited access. So this is the updated sheet here. Also, there is a new note here, number 6, which is really meant for vehicles being moved, large vehicles being moved across the work zone for a time period of less than a couple minutes. So this is removing some of the required devices. Moving on here into signal signing and pavement marking indexes. The first index here is index 654, rectangular rapid flashing beacon assemblies. This index was previously in, or I should say this sheet was previously in index 700-120. This has been broken out into its own index now. Most of this information just carried over from index 700-120. Probably the most significant change here is that the height requirement is 7 feet to the bottom of the sign, the assembly itself. Special sign details, index 700-102. The only changes in this index were a few signs that were removed. So here on sheet 5 of 11, the school day time duration signs have been removed. On sheet 10 of 11, the reverse curve signs, those have been removed. There are standard details in the MUTCD and standard signs book from FHWA regarding these signs. Tourist-oriented directional signs. This was index 700-103. This index has been deleted and the details have been moved into FDM 230.2.10. This was primarily information for design, and it didn't really belong necessarily in the standard plans. The posts and such are covered by the other indexes that we already have. Traffic control for street terminations, index 700-109. Some of these extraneous notes have been removed. That wasn't necessarily the kicker for what started the revisions to this index. That was mostly to remove any illusion that there was only one wind beam necessary for the object markers. So this is now the updated index, and we included the 2 wind beams in here. Also, some of these signs have been rearranged a little bit, so that's just something to keep in mind. Enhanced highway signing assemblies, index 700-120. So there were quite a number of changes to this index. So I'm just going to be highlighting the most significant ones here. One is that we did change the title of the index to Enhanced Highway Signing Assemblies. This was previously referred to, I believe, as roadside flashing beacons. As I previously mentioned, our RFBs have been moved to the separate index 654-001. We also have introduced an alphanumerical system for easy identification of the different sign assemblies that we have. So if it were to be called for in the plans, you would be referring to for instance, type A1, if it was a warning sign with the conventional power here. Also, there has highlighted signs are now available in some of the assemblies that are shown in the index. That's primarily for school zone situations. Also, the use of pedestals for all roadside signs, that's consistent now across the index, that we're showing the pedestals. Typical placement of RPMs, index 706-001. There were only a handful of changes here. It's primarily related to the optional details that we have available. And it's in regard to where to place the RPMs and the reflective yellow paint. So I removed some RPMs from the median island situation. Also, the yellow paint has been removed from the median island. I would call it the pork chop there. The pork chop has also had a couple of changes as well. Sheet 5 of 6. This is a new sheet here, and this was previously shown in the FDM. It's in regard to the placement of RPMs at limited access crossovers. This was just to eliminate any potential need for details that aren't really necessary in the plans, especially when this is a kind of a typical installation. Another new sheet in this index is the placement of blue RPMs. This is for the fire hydrants. This information is still shown in the TEM section 4.3, but that might potentially change in the future. Pavement marking, index 711-001. So some of the changes that we made to this index, there are standard details for route shields now, and there are some associated notes to go along with that. The pavement message spacing table is new. That is replacing the standard across the board spacing of the 25 feet. Sheet 9 of 13. The only real change on this sheet is that the S value from sheet 1 in the pavement message spacing table has been added here. Sheet 10 of 13. This sheet was showing a lot of intersection details, but what we really wanted to get across was the actual details of the crosswalks, and there were some misconceptions about when this could be applied to cases other than intersections. So this sheet will now just show basic crosswalk pavement marking details. Also, I moved note 3 here to sheet 7 of 13. This is for the extension of the double yellow center lines. So this is now showing the new sheet where it's just the details of the crosswalk being shown. Sheet 11 of 13. Once again, this is in regard to the pavement message spacing table. Some of the values in here have been replaced by the S from sheet 1. Old sheet 12 of 14. This was duplicated information, index 509-070 already housed some of this information. So a few of these notes have migrated over there, but for the most part, there were no real changes here. This is just the railroad crossing, pavement marking, and signing. Same as always, it's just in the other index entirely now. Moving on to the lighting indexes. The only real change here is index 715-002, which is the standard aluminum lighting for the conventional. There were quite a few changes here. I'm just going to be highlighting the significant ones on sheet 2 of 8. A lot of these dimensions that were shown in here weren't really necessary and have been condensed down. Also, some of this information in here, such as the fill height, was really applicable to designers and not contractors. So it has been moved into the SPI. Also, as I mentioned here on the left, the values of tables that have changed or disappeared have been really kind of reworked into the details of the details shown in this index. So if you're missing a value, just look closer at the details. So this is the new sheet here showing some reduced clutter. Sheet 4 of 8. The biggest change here is that the pole wall thicknesses have been revised. So other than that, most of this information is the same, or it's more consistent now. And that's it. If you have any questions, please let me know.